And we are going to be talking about further things that have come out of this Louisiana case with Dr. Stephen Haynes.
Yes, so just again, it's a privilege to be here with you, the viewer. So just to give not just some context, but a little backdrop. So
Please
whenever a
do.
decision comes down from a Supreme Court, you have dissenting and concurring opinions. Dissenting opinions are those that are in opposition to the majority's rule. The concurring opinions are those who didn't necessarily participate in the actual voting or whatever, but they concur or they agree with the opinion that actually came down. So in the Jimmy Duncan case, which is a Louisiana Supreme
Mm.
Court case, a very conservative court, came down on June 29th, affirming the lower court's decision in the Jimmy Duncan case, which is a 31-year-old death penalty case. One of the things in the concurring opinion by the Chief Justice was concerning um, the fallibility or the errors that inevitably come with the process of law. And so I quote here something that he says concerning capital punishment and the application of the ultimate punishment for crime, if you will. He says, this matter demonstrates we cannot be too careful in determining whether the death penalty should be implemented in cases such as this because of the finality of the sentence and the impossibility of rectification. Such an irreversible and tragic consequence is inimical and deleterious to our system of justice if carried out based on evidence that is devoid of legitimacy. The laws of post-conviction relief have served the purpose of preventing the inappropriate application of the ultimate punishment. So that statement is very well said. It's appropriate, and it moves us forward in progress of really evaluating the concerns of capital punishment. But there's a few things that I want to focus on concerning this paragraph. So first and foremost, he talks about being careful in determining whether the death penalty should be used in cases where scientific evidence is the qualifier, the evidence,
Right,
if you will,
right.
because of the progressive nature of most science. Science is
Mm.
continually it's evolving. It's always growing. It's essentially science is merely the understanding of a particular study,
Yeah, and
and so
what was considered sort of firm scientific evidence 10 years ago is not at all now.
correct.
Yeah.
Case in point
Mm.
to shaken baby syndrome.
Mm.
So there are things that, and so the problems with this is if you give a person a death penalty, let's just say the post conviction did not serve the purpose. The
Mm.
reality of this is that you would have executed an innocent man
Mm.
on an error. And so that is just really problem. There's truthfully speaking, there is no way around the irreversibility and the tragic consequence of the death penalty when you're talking about things that are not infallible.
Mm.
Science is not infallible. Eyewitness testimony is not infallible.
No.
We now know that DNA evidence is ultimately one of the things that can prove a person was there
Mm.
or they were not.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
the
it's like
application
these
of
jailhouse snitches that were used to literally sentence people to death.
correct. There was
Mm.
a jailhouse snitch in the Jimmy Duncan case
Mm.
who ended up, turns out that he was lying about what he
Yeah.
was. But again, the point being, when he says that this matter demonstrates that we cannot be too careful in determining whether the death penalty should be implemented in such cases, the mere fact that we are questioning certain capital cases that we should not seek capital punishment in shows us that there is a need for it to be removed or
Mm.
at least reevaluated,
Yeah.
not stretched so that it is broad across the board where it's being applicated.
Mm.
Um, well, that's just the one thing I like this again. This is a very conservative court justice. This chief justice is very conservative,
Yeah.
but he, at the end of the day, even though he is giving credit to the post conviction process as preventing injustice and an irreversible consequence, at the same time, he's also making the point and the reality that the death penalty and the application thereof is not infallible.
Mm.
And so there's errors. So the question becomes the one thing that is not in question is the worth of human life.
Yeah.
That's not in
Exactly.
question.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that is not in question. What is in question is the fallibility of this ultimate punishment that can not be reversed.
Mm,
And that
yeah,
is the larger question. And we're
yeah.
seeing more and more cases that show that capital punishment, regardless of whatever position you may take, um, has been guilty of taking people's lives
Oh,
unnecessarily and
yeah.
unjustly.
Far too many innocent people have been
Yeah.
executed.
So
And just a slightly, perhaps a good point to mention that Canada this week are celebrating 50 years of having abolished the death penalty in the same week that America are marking 50 years of the return of the death penalty.
of the death penalty, yeah,
So,
the contrast there is
yeah, yeah. So,
is readily
Canada, America. Yeah. Leave
yeah.
that one
I,
hanging for people to think about.
Yeah, that's definitely good. And lastly, I would also like to say I just want to encourage people, especially in this country, regardless of whatever your position on capital punishment is, um, be willing to have an objective mindset in
Mhm.
understanding the
Mhm.
legitimacy of these concerns. These concerns are valid. You have conservative just as you have liberal justices who are questioning the validity and application of capital punishment because of the progressing the amount of errors that we're finding
Mm,
now.
mm,
So just be
mm,
mindful of that. And at the end of the day, um, don't allow your position to keep you from, extending mercy and caring about people and
mm,
having an experience.
mm.
So yeah,
I have many, many conversations with people about the death penalty and death row for very obvious reasons. And there are very few people that really remain steadfastly pro death penalty when they actually get some information and understand about how poorly this is done, and and the mistakes that have been made, and all the exonerations, and the way in which people's lives are tampered with. So ignorance plays, sadly, a big
a
part
big
in
part of it.
being
Yep,
pro death penalty.
very well said.
Mm.
Hmm.
Good to
I
talk.
agree.
Thank you for that. I'll
As
be
always,
waiting for some more
thank
updates.
you. Yes, ma'am.